Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome to a vegetable-packed Wednesday episode of SJU. We're talking business. We're talking Netflix. We're talking Disney Plus release strategies. We also have a late-breaking Oscars story about why they were so wonky. Some Blade news, some Nintendo stuff, and some live chat and questions from viewers like yourself. I'm here with Eric. I'm here with Kim. Good morning, Eric. Good afternoon or evening, Kim. How's it going?
Oh, good, thank you.
Good, except I took a sip of water right as we were about 2 seconds away, and then I almost started to choke on it. And I thought, oh, that'd be a great intro, just me hacking and spitting water out.
Oh God, watching you choke and die on Zoom would be such a horrible, helpless feeling for me. I'd be like, can we get someone over to Eric's? No?
A
Okay.
great Blumhouse movie.
But a great Blumhouse movie, exactly. And speaking of horror, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. It's coming to Netflix May 21st, but it's coming to theaters a week before that. That's weird. Netflix and Cinemark Theaters have made the beginning of an ongoing partnership. Cinemark, the third biggest chain in the US. Previously, all the big theaters have refused to screen Netflix movies because they don't honor the traditional distribution window. You must honor that. But this is their first actual deal with a major theater chain. Interesting. I thought they were just going to buy one because they're all going out of business. Is this a surprise to anyone? To Eric, Kim, are you surprised that Netflix is bringing a original movie into theaters before its Netflix release?
Yeah, I'm almost surprised by the Netflix side more than the Cinemark side, because as we've talked about, the theaters had a lot less negotiating space in the past year than they ever did. And they're suddenly cutting a lot of deals we never thought they would. And AMC making that, was it 17-day deal with Universal. But Netflix seemed like the ones who might never budge on the, like, we'll play in theaters, but it must be the same day as Netflix. So it was interesting, except for a couple of Oscar potentials. That was the only time that they gave on that. So it is interesting to see them take this sort of, big mainstream zombie action movie and go, all right, you get a week. I think maybe it does show that. I wonder how much of this is like Snyder driven and just like them wanting to be in business with these big filmmakers who are like, give us a week. But it did surprise me a little bit, just not that Cinemark would make the deal to finally let Netflix movies play, but that Netflix would give them that week of exclusive.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
oh, go ahead.
I think it's going to be a big bargaining chip now, I guess, after Zack Snyder's been allowed to do it. But I suppose on their part, the market is becoming more flooded with streaming options and people plowing money into making filmmakers dream projects, I suppose. And so Netflix need to offer something new to keep the people like Zack Snyder willing to make a project for them.
I guess, is that really that big of an incentive for filmmakers? Is that you get a 1 week theatrical window,
Well,
1 week before people see it on Netflix? Like,
I think it's a start. I think it's a start. It's like a trial period. And if it's successful for both sides, I see it, perhaps expanding.
That's true. Do you think this is, once this cracks open, then everybody's going to want the Zack Snyder deal, or anybody that can get it will ask for it?
Yeah, it's funny. We talked I think Spencer, you were on with me when we talked pretty recently about how Netflix said they've talked to Christopher Nolan on and off, but always something that would stop it is him being, it has to be theatrical only, at least at first. And like, would they give anyone, like, if they gave Nolan a deal, what would happen? Because other people would want it. So they are kind of now with Snyder, right? And yeah, it's just a week. But I think you're onto something, Kim, also about how it's just so much stuff comes out on streaming that even Netflix must start noticing that you need to do something extra to get a little extra attention. I don't think we've talked on SJU. I'm not sure if we have, about how Netflix is going to try out that thing where they will actually play a show that they think you might like, or movie, when you turn on Netflix, if you choose to turn that on. And that's another way they're kind of being like, hey, we know it's hard for you to make a choice. Here's some ideas. So I think that 1 week theatrical might just be a way to be like, get more buzz, get more people talking, and kind of stick out a little bit more in such a crowded marketplace where something that happens is decision fatigue, like there's too much stuff to watch.
You can only fit so many movie titles on a marquee. You can't just sit there outside flipping through options for an hour and then just go back to bed.
Right. So yeah, it might be more. We'll try this. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the risk, of course, is that you know, they've had what they would term success with films like, or with Bright, that may not have done so well had it had a theatrical release. I mean, you know, it got a lot of viewers on Netflix for various reasons, but if the box office spoke, would it be the same, and said, you know, people aren't interested in this, would it be the same story?
That's right. And I mean, we've been talking about this pretty much all from the Netflix side, but I mean, these theaters, something's got to give, right? They got to be so desperate to just get people back in there. And like, maybe there aren't even enough blockbuster movies made on a consistent basis by non-streaming services for them to like have options on a given weekend. Like, it feels like the only big movie, there's maybe 5 big movies coming up next year that are like traditional, from a traditional studio, released traditionally, that will get butts in seats.
Yeah, I think you're seeing, I mean, with as we come out of the pandemic, it's like it's gonna ramp up, but like, you know, May and June is gonna be way more spread out. Usually summer movie season means every week is at least one giant movie and sometimes 2. And this year it's like, you know, Spiral and Quiet Place 2 are both opening in May, but those aren't even at the level of like the $200 million budget that we're usually talking about. So I think you're probably right, Spencer, that it opens the door even more, because Godzilla versus Kong and some of these other movies have proven people will go, but now they're still having these like weeks in between where there's still not a lot happening yet. So it kind of gives them an opportunity to say, okay, Army of the Dead is actually it's funny, it's gonna open the same day as Spiral, but it's just like, it's something else. They have, if you have a multiplex, if you're Cinemark and you have like a 15-plex, then you do want to fill that space. And so why not put out, you know, 2 big things on the same weekend when there's almost nothing else playing that's not been out for months at this point. So I think that's giving them the opportunity, but also the need to try stuff like this they might not in a different situation.
And now is the perfect time to experiment, right? As we're in this kind of hybrid season where, you know, we're coming out of the pandemic or lockdown, but the pandemic is still here. And yeah, you've got this hybrid release system. It's a perfect time to experiment. So it may not stay the same. It may change again next year.
True. Well, in the meantime, I am excited to watch, I don't know, Emily in Paris on the big screen while we still can.
I was gonna say,
where it belongs.
I was gonna say what you said about like is 1 week seems so little, but I still think it does mean something to these filmmakers, because even look at Snyder. I mean, we all joked about it, but the fact that he put the aspect ratio of the Snyder cut in IMAX aspect ratio because he wanted it to be, and I think they're still saying eventually they're going to give it a small IMAX release. So I think if you are someone like him, you do want that, even if it's just for a week, to be like, okay, I got it there on the big screen. People have that chance. Movie.
Yeah.
Also, it's all about that box office opening weekend. Right. One week covers that.
Yeah, that's all anyone cares about, is how's it do in the first weekend. Well, we'll see. And from the big screen to the small screen. Well, Netflix is changing is going big. Marvel's going small. They've announced Loki will be streaming Wednesdays instead of Fridays. Wednesdays are the new Fridays, you guys. They've after WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, they kind of got us trained and used to staying up late on Thursday night to catch the episode before everybody spoiled it. They're moving it back. Why would they do this? What do you guys make of this shift after having 2, I assume, hits at that same time?
I think there might be some practical / money reasons, but also I wonder if a Friday release curtails the conversation a little bit on social media. Come Saturday, you know, I think people kind of switch mode. Wednesday, you've got 2 days anticipation, and then you know, you watch it, and then you've got a couple of days before the weekend to talk about it, to react.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just to kind of get more word of mouth going, because Saturday we're all busy doing our fun things outside. Eric, what's your take?
I think there's a couple reasons, and one is just that there's been this strange sort of standard set, and again, everyone was following Netflix's lead, that most big streaming shows drop on Friday. Not 100%, but that's been normally when they've been almost all doing it, with a few exceptions. And so Disney Plus was doing the same. But it's like, and I think maybe that they thought, okay, well, you have the whole weekend to watch. But I think, Kim, you're also right. That's like, well, people are doing other things. And also, if you put them all out on Friday, then it's just competition for each other. So I think that there's that in general, but there's also the competition from themselves factor. And a lot of people brought up that, Black Widow's opening on July 9th. And so that would be a day that Loki would have a new episode if it stayed on Fridays. And so they don't want to compete with themselves. And I thought, I wonder in the long term, because we don't know, will it only be Loki or will all the Marvel shows move to Wednesday? And I'm like, maybe it'll be all of them, because eventually they're going to want to have live action Star Wars show and a live action Marvel show at the same time. And
Pixar.
And Pixar, right? Yeah, and the Pixar shows
and all that stuff. Right?
And so they don't want the competition of themselves and of people trying what should they watch first and what will get the most attention. So I could see them in the long term looking and being like, okay, maybe, and we'll see, maybe they'll switch it up again, but maybe like Wednesdays could be our Marvel day and Fridays can stay our Star Wars day. And when, if Secret Invasion and Ahsoka are both airing new episodes at the same time, hypothetically, then people can sort of give their attention to them separately. I wonder if that's kind of a long-term goal they have here as they look at what they want to do.
God, no one told me having a monopoly would be this awkward. Yeah. I mean, you summed it up. I have nothing to add to that, Erica. Kim, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I just was going to say, if they are planning on more Disney Plus movie releases as well, they will not move from a Friday slot. So it would make sense to move TV shows.
Yeah. Well,
I think it speaks to also just like they're very clever, and this whole, there'll always be the debate about people who want them to release all their episodes at once, but by doing it weekly in general, they get, we said like, hey, people were talking about Falcon and the Soldier for 6 weeks straight versus a Netflix show that gets a couple weeks at the most. And this way, it's like, if you got multiple shows, you're basically making yourself like NBC at its heyday, where like multiple days a week, people are like watching shows and talking about you. And again, the incentive to subscribe, like, oh, well, I want to see that. I want to see that. Oh, everyone's tweeting about that. 2 days later, they're tweeting about something else, all on Disney Plus. So they know what they're doing. Kind of, they're pretty savvy business wise at that company.
Yes,
it's becoming a TV channel, right? It's becoming a TV channel, just like ABC Monday comedy, ABC Tuesday. But instead, it's like like Spencer said, which monopoly, which big of the brands we have,
right?
Monster Inc., Kindergarten, or whatever it's gonna be. It can be Monday, and then you can.
How do I hold all these brands?
Right.
Tiana Tuesdays on Disney Plus.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good times. The real question is when will Eric and Roth be doing their Loki reviews? But that's something to be settled as more information reveals.
I saw several people in our industry, very inside baseball, but bemoaning that, oh my God, is Disney Plus going to make us stay up till 1 a.m. multiple times a week to watch and try to get reaction articles?
Just
and stuff
watch it in the morning after you've slept. Well, whatever. That's it. We won't bore people with that.
The SEO won't wait for that in some of these cases.
Oh, wow. We'll have to all move to the UK, right, Kim?
Yeah, Kim, what time do you get those episodes?
I've got room.
Kim, what time do episodes debut for you? It's midnight for us.
8 a.m.
Okay, so you can start your day with
very civilized. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching to this point. Please like and subscribe. Check out our other videos. We just came out with a new format called Rabbit Hole that I think is pretty fun, about the connection between moisture and Darth Vader. Also, Kim is here, who has a book. Buy Kim's book if you dare.
Oh, I have it here.
Always handy.
Nice.
Why we love the Matrix. It's super good. There's lots to love. So please order it now and post a pic and tag Kim in it so she knows you did it. There's some other things that happened a few weeks ago, namely the Oscars, and I may have missed them, but I heard they were terrible. So let's talk about why. Steve Soderbergh, who I guess, did he direct the Oscars?
He produced them.
Produced the Oscars.
One of the producers this year, yeah.
Yeah, he did an interview with Vanity Fair and revealed why he chose to end the ceremony with Best Actor instead of Best Picture. He said, it's our belief, that I think is not unfounded, that actor speeches tend to be more dramatic than producer speeches. So this belief, coupled with the potential for an emotional speech from Chadwick Boseman's widow, was enough to cement the new running order. According to Soderbergh, there would be nowhere for the show to go from there. When asked if he just assumed that Boseman was going to win for his final performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, he didn't really answer the question. He said, oh, it would have been such a shattering moment. To come back after that would have just been impossible. Wow. So is it? So he just gambled and lost, right? Is that the takeaway here? He was just rolling the dice, like, well, if this happens, man, oh, we're gonna have ourselves a show, and then just whiffed.
In his defense, I think, you know, that even if they didn't feel certain that Chadwick Boseman was going to win, there's always a chance. And of course, it would have been a really emotional moment. And so to me, it makes perfect sense that they accommodated for that.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I don't know. You don't have to peak at the very end.
Yeah, and I think it just seemed like such a risk, right?
Yeah. Like the biggest, like there's always a speech that comes out of nowhere that's like the most affecting, emotional speech that you remember. And it can come anywhere in the show. It's always the end is like, okay, tell me what is objectively the best movie of the year, which is what the Oscars are all about, is finally deciding which movie is the best. And we all remember that winner for all time. But I just think that's the big finish is Best Picture. To me, it's silly, and I sort of disagree with the take that actor speeches are the highlight of the show. I think a lot of times they're the ones that are too long and rambling, and you realize why they have writers.
Frances McDormand, you know, howling at the moon. I guess that could have been a good ending. And
in retrospect, they should have at least flipped that.
It just makes me think of McConaughey winning, like at the peak of the McConaissance, and like he was just rambling about how his hero is himself from like 10 years from now, and then he realized he was losing the audience and was just like, all right. Better say the catchphrase. Like they are definitely not, to me, the most dramatic part of the show. So interesting choice. Obviously, that would have been a great Hollywood moment if Chadwick had won and they had closed the show. But I think that you can have that in the middle, cut to a commercial, and then come back and keep moving. But that's just my opinion.
Maybe they should have finished with Best Supporting Actor. I enjoyed Daniel Kaluuya's speech.
Right. It just
face.
Yeah.
It was so strange because it was the double thing of betting that someone will win when there's no guarantee, but also a chance that someone will win who isn't there and that you are not letting accept from Zoom, so you might not have any speech, which is exactly what happened. Yeah. So just a strange, like double, the danger was double there. You wouldn't get what you wanted and you'd get the least satisfying thing, which is no speech at all. You know, I get it from like a visceral, like, you know, he's a filmmaker and he's a great filmmaker. And he's right. The most emotional, dramatically satisfying end of that evening would be Chadwick Boseman's widow giving a beautiful speech about a wonderful man that we all miss. But given there was only a 1 in 5 chance of that happening, it was just a big swing, you know, to do. So yeah, just a strange thing. Also, by the way, Spencer, yeah, of course, it's not necessarily the actor's speeches that are most emotional. And how soon have we forgotten that Best Picture just a couple years ago gave us a screw up where they named the wrong Best Picture?
The best Oscar
one of the most
history.
Dramatic moments ever in Oscar history.
Yeah,
so,
I love that.
Anything can happen,
guys. It was a respectful tribute. It could have been.
Yeah, alternate universe. Nailed it.
Well, it fits though that Soderbergh did this because like I don't want to say he doesn't give a crap, but he is definitely willing to take huge gambles and big swings. Like his last few movies have been like the one where he just like filmed Meryl Streep on a boat and was like, let's see what happens, and the one where he shot like some basketball movie on an iPhone. Like he's just winging it. He's down to clown, and
he doesn't do 1 for me, 1 for you. He does like 5 for me, 1 for you.
5 for me, 1 for you, exactly.
5 for me, 1 for Ben Affleck or George Clooney. It's like,
yeah. So that's what you got what you paid for, Academy, when you have him produce the show. But let's move on from Oscars talk because other things happened. The president of Nintendo, Shuntaro Furukawa, stated that the company is looking into creating more visual content beyond just the upcoming Mario movie by Illumination. Animation, quote, in general, is something that we're looking into, and not just this franchise. So you know what that means. I hear another shared universe coming. If Mario's a hit, we're going to get, well, what will we get after Mario? And would you be excited for a Nintendoverse?
I mean, I'm open to it. I do think it's funny, you know, they sort of understandably to some extent, wouldn't license for a long time because of the Super Mario live action movie.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're finally doing, you know, it's Mario again, of course, but it's animation. And that quote about him saying animation in general, I'm like, I wonder if that's what they feel is maybe like a more safe Haven is they got so burnt by Mario that they don't want to go back to live action anytime soon, it seems like. But I feel like that might be a good path for them, at least for now. It's like the Nintendo characters in general are sort of so fanciful, that maybe animation is a good home for those characters.
I don't know if a shared universe can work really. They'd have to be careful about the crossovers they do. I think, Zelda and Mario isn't going to work, but I could be curious about a Pokemon Mario crossover.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, well, the only crossover, the cross Nintendo franchise we have is like Smash Brothers, where they're all just beating each other up in a room. I can see that happening. Or they could all get go-karts in the sequel and have a little race. A little Mario Kart action. But yeah, obviously the rule for every universe should be make it work once before you can start planning all of these crossovers, which The Mummy did not listen to. And look, I'm not going to damn them by association, but this is the same company that makes the Minions movies. So I'm going to hold my praise and my excitement until I see a little bit more. Because if it's just the Minions with Mario voices, I mean, it's kind of funny. I'd probably watch
kind of
that.
be in it to describe it that way.
I also I like the idea if it was like, as you said, the Mario Kart thing. I'm like, they do like a Zelda movie, and it's a very sort of straightforward, well done fantasy epic. But then there's like a post-credit scene where it's like Smash Brothers, and he's just like, and he has to fight Donkey.
Just comes flying in with his like twin friend. And
Yeah, why
stuff
not?
like that. It just goes full bananas. Yeah.
We all have to go play golf together. Play tennis.
Right, yeah, we're gonna play doubles tennis against Waluigi because he's gone off the loop. Yeah. I definitely think Zelda, Pokemon, Mario are their three biggest breadwinners, and you'd have to start there and then work your way to a Crash
Smash Brothers movie. That's
So,
so ridiculous.
Pokemon has a weird like shared ownership thing. I've tried to figure it out, and it always confuses me a little. Like it's like Nintendo doesn't own it 100%, but they have
Game
some
Freak
sort of,
or whatever.
there's like a co-ownership, but they can work it out.
Well, in other news, don't worry for all of you who watched the Marvel Studios sizzle reel and, like me, said, "Where's Blade?" Blade is still being worked on. The production date has been pushed from this September to next July, so they can spend more time working on the script, and they're still looking for a director. So Blade has been delayed, but hopefully it'll be worth it. But this has not been canceled. And do we think that there's any chance we meet the character or anything Blade related in any other project before sometime in 2023 when the movie comes out? They sneak a little Blade into something?
I want to save him for that film. And it's not that far away, and we've got a ton to get through before then. It'll be here before we know it. So
okay. All right. Blade hype remains strong.
I'd be up for seeing him beforehand, but I think they have to be careful about where they do it. And because he's I mean, I guess Doctor Strange maybe, but it's not like a natural, because he's going to be the debut of like sort of a little more pure horror. So you have to figure that out. It feels like something very them if we did meet him beforehand. Also, just because the actor will have been attached now for like several years. And it's just funny with like Dwayne Johnson finally filming Black Adam right now when he was announced so many years ago. And yet they didn't put him in Shazam. I thought for sure he'd be in like a post-credit scene of Shazam, but he wasn't. I know his chair was, but that's not the same thing. So it feels very Marvel to introduce him beforehand, but I just think they need to be careful about like it. I wouldn't want a weird like tonal shift where like at Thor, Love and Thunder, it's like, and here's Blade. If they
could throw Blade into that movie, if any of them, it'd be like, oh, we landed on the vampire planet.
Taika could make it work. Never mind, I take it all back. So.
You're right, because you will have to introduce vampires first. Well, maybe not first, but
that's probably maybe that you might be onto something. That might be the way they do it. We don't meet Blade, but we introduce like just that vampires are out there. That there's some
we do in the shadows, vampires.
Yes.
Oh, Taika would be perfect for that. He's got vampire experience.
Bat, please. Disney produces that show. Why not make it happen?
Oh man, it's all coming together. Synergy, which is easy when you own everything. Let's move on to the chat. Fiona Gilbert asks, no relation. Question for you guys. Who would you cast to play yourself in a movie? Who's playing Eric? Who's playing Kim?
I immediately, this is my go-to actor answer for everything. I'm going to say Daniel Day-Lewis, but
Oh,
from
yeah.
Last of the Mohicans because of his long hair.
Yeah. How do we know you aren't Daniel Day-Lewis studying for that role?
You don't know because he doesn't act anymore. So maybe he is me.
But that's just what he says, so he can go undercover and do his research. He's probably living as, I don't know. Yeah, who knows who he is right now? He's probably a Twitch streamer. Eric, who's playing you?
Oh man, I don't. I'm like looking around my wall at posters. I see the Child's Play poster. I'm like, Brad Dourif will play me. Why not?
Great.
And they'll do some Benjamin Button effects to show me at many different ages of my life. There you
go. I will. Well, the people I get compared to the most often is Fry from Futurama and Seth Green. So I think both of them could probably take on the role. I'm gonna maybe just because I have Blade on the mind, I'm gonna go Stephen Dorff. I think Dorff's got what it takes, and I'm approaching Stephen Dorff levels of weathered grizzleness after his True Detective season 3 comeback. So I want the Dorfissance to continue.
I am all about the Dorfissance. So
he's my pick.
His delivery in Blade of an underrated supervillain line is just saying when he goes, "You're an idiot." How do you come back from that?
There's no coming back from that. You're dead. Interesting question from Mavis from Our Sins. How excited are we for Bo Burnham's new special coming to Netflix? That's interesting. I didn't know he was still doing stand-up. Well, I thought he had transitioned to directing and acting. And stuff.
I guess Eric, maybe you could explain, but he's doing I filmed myself at home over the year of quarantine special.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he'll probably play a song in his living room, play a song in his bathroom, that type of thing.
I'm excited for that reason, even though it's a big swing, which could, be a thud, or it could work. So quarantine, people have had to be creative, and even watching some of the things filmed at home is wildly different as far as like if they worked or not, and when they've done TV show episodes from home, whether it was like, oh, that nailed it, or that fell off. So him doing this from home, I'm curious, and so I'm pretty excited. Is my answer. Maybe it's from Our Sins. And just kind of curious what exactly he did, since it's a little bit of a secretive project here.
Yeah, I mean, clearly I knew nothing about it, but now I'm excited. That sounds interesting.
I'm over quarantine shows. Move on.
Okay, it's over. It's fine. Let's go out.
Well, we're gonna have a few banked here, so I'll have to put up with a few.
This is a good one from D.A. Baracus. My wife sat in her car for 45 minutes waiting for me to come home because a tiny harmless lizard was sitting by our front door. What is the least harmful thing that terrifies you? Lizards are so skittish. You move like within 6 feet and they're gone.
Olives, just because they gross me out.
Oh, another olive hater. Gosh, most harmless thing. I don't know. I'm not like a bird fan. Like I don't love sitting next to a bunch of seagulls or pigeons, because I feel like they don't respect boundaries here in the city. But small thing that terrifies me. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. Kim, any phobias?
Well, yeah, mine is the telephone.
Oh,
yeah. Speaking of the telephone.
Yeah, that is pretty terrifying these days.
I can't handle speaking to people on the phone.
It's overrated.
This is fine, face to face.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm glad we're not putting you through trauma every time we make you show up.
Also, I'll say, I mean, it's not certainly not alone on this one, but cockroaches, which is funny because I'm not freaked out by bugs in general, and I don't get freaked out if like a spider's near me. I think it's something about like their speed. They seem too fast.
There's the speed, and then there's like it's a real cleanup when you kill them. So
yeah, they're too gushy.
Nothing to look forward to. Pretty nasty. Yeah, cockroaches. That's a great one. Okay, and finally. This one should be right in our wheelhouse, but it's almost too broad. It's like so hard. TNS would love any movie recommendation. Y'all are a trusted source. So we'll end by recommending a movie, any movie.
Star Wars. No.
Star Wars. Have you seen it? A little indie film by George Lucas.
I'll go with just because I've talked it up a lot recently, especially because Godzilla versus Kong coming out and Adam Wingard, and I think we've even talked about an SJU because I know Lon also loves it, but I love The Guest. Adam Wingard's was it his second movie from 2014? It was on Netflix last I checked. I can't vouch for it being there for sure. But yeah, Dan Stevens stars in it, and it's just a cool little movie about a guy who shows up at the home of a family who lost their son fighting overseas, and he was a war buddy, and they let him in, and maybe just maybe they shouldn't let him in, but it's a really cool movie, some fun kind of throwback vibes to it. The soundtrack's really cool. It's supposed to kind of play like an 80s kind of Canon Films vibe to it. They wanted to put the Canon Films logo on the front, but they weren't given legal permission. But yeah, really enjoy that movie and watch it frequently. All
right, so put it on my list. Kim, what do you got?
I'm gonna say I've been revisiting David Lynch lately, and if you've never seen The Straight Story, I'm recommending that, because it's unlike all of his other films, and he says it's his most experimental, but it's everyone else would say it's the least experimental of all, but for him, of course it is. It's more naturalistic. But it's this lovely story about this old man. It's based on a true story, who travels across states to go and see his elderly brother who's just had a stroke, and they've been estranged for years. And you learn his story as he goes on this road trip on a ride-on mower.
Awesome. I was waiting for the weird twist. There it is.
I love that movie, and you know where you can watch that movie? On
Where?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Oh,
Disney released that movie, so it's the most easy to find David Lynch movie. Awesome. Is The Straight Story. It's really good.
It'll make you cry.
All right, I'll have to check that out. I'll reach into, you guys going indie, if not obscure, with a little bit of horror sprinkled in. I'm gonna pick a movie I just saw that was recently added to the Criterion Collection called Smooth Talk. 1985, a teenage Laura Dern kind of classic coming of age in the 80s story. Until the third
pre-David Lynch Laura Dern.
A pre-David Lynchian Laura Dern. It's like I've never seen a movie like this, and I really admire it so much. That is one genre until the third act, when it becomes a completely different genre, and I did not see it coming. So I wouldn't say it's a twist. I would just say that there is a massive tonal shift in it, and it caught me by surprise. And I would love to talk about it with more people after they've seen it. So check out Smooth Talk and let me know what you think.
Has a big Dern head. I've never seen that film, so I will check it out, and I will let you know what I think.
Yeah, good times. Well, there you go. I hope you guys got your money's worth for the low price of free. But that's the SJU promise, and we will be back next week, right? So go watch the other stuff on this channel. Till then, twiddle your thumbs. Kim, Eric, thank you for your service. We'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Good show.